Just as you look at the flowers, a gust of wind raises them from the roof, picking them up in the air. You catch a single white flower between your fingers. The rest fly off into the wind. It's a maybell. The young woman looks at the maybell in your hand. Just a glance, then takes a drag of her cigarette. The lieutenant gives you an acknowledging little nod. Your 9mm semi-automatic finger pistols produce a satisfying snap. Strange for such a low-caliber finger gun to sound so chunky. The flower in your other hand is impressed. So is Kim. That's not entirely true. The lieutenant is looking at the door to the east and mostly misses them.
Welcome to the roof.
Her hair is still slick from the shower.
I'm sorry for the mess down there. The cleaning lady hasn't come by in days. It's much nicer now. Thank you for that, officers. Truly.
There is something in her light brown eyes, a sadness, when she thinks about the death of that man.
Oh yes, legends of room number 1 have made their way around the building. They say a portal to hell has opened in there. They also say that's why the cleaning lady quit, because of the infernum.
I am Kim Kitsuragi. I am a detective from Precinct 57. I see you've already met my colleague.
Have I ever? This is the fabled cop of the apocalypse. What happened, man? The end was supposed to be mere seconds away. Why we're still here? Yeah, man.
Miss, we are investigating the murder of the man down there. The people who put him there have asked us to talk to you.
Huh. I see.
Be careful. Ask something else first. When you go there, use words like, I hear you have been through something difficult.
Yeah. It's pretty deluxe.
No one likes to talk about their dirty laundry and their empty bottles. Maybe if you phrase it emotionally.
I'm wintering.
How long have you been staying here?
About 4 months. Here in the Whirling, here in Martinez, or here in Revachol. Because it's the funkiest building in Martinez. And because all the other buildings are bombed to hell. Yeah, I've contaminated it pretty bad. The contamination spreads from room to room. First, I escaped upstairs. The SAD got that too. Then I found the handle for the summer door. For me, it's a mix of me with a lack of cleaning services. How about you? Talk around the establishment is, you have an industrial SAD spill in there. I love apricot chewing gum. Betrayed by the things we love. What a rotten deal. Thank you. I've put a lot of time and effort into it.
Technically, possession of narcotics is legal in Revachol, but you should still reprimand her. No, don't listen to the stiff. Be cool.
With money, sir. It's not exactly the NT-star size caboodle I intend for it to be one day, but it's getting there. Comes in handy when you've done too many opioids.
Is that something that happens to you often, miss?
Better safe than sorry. Very funky. It is.
The lieutenant makes a note in his notebook. He finds the answer unsatisfying.
Okay.
Watching herself reflected in the bedroom window, tall and sparkling and draped in smoke.
Something difficult? I've been through at least half a dozen difficult things. Which one do you mean? By sexually assaulted, you mean raped?
Yes.
It's a bit early in the morning for raped, isn't it?
She sounds positively buoyant, vivacious, totally unbothered.
Is it? It is afternoon. Time flies, man. Yeah, I'm gonna go with not raped. I don't want to say that shit about him.
By him, she must mean the victim.
Tell them it's not my style. They'll have to, if they want to jazz up the charges, they'll have to get someone more, rapeable.
Are you saying that you were asked to tell us you were assaulted?
Not explicitly, but I understood what they meant. It wouldn't hurt to spice things up a bit. Some assault and battery, sexual assault maybe. It was clear the latter would be spicier. Pretty much.
Warming them.
We partied. A lot of partying going on.
From Titus. About her and Titus's relationship. That's where you heard it.
We drank, sir. A lot. For weeks, basically. We had that effect on each other. We made each other drink harder. That's why I liked him.
What else?
Stimulants. Speed also has that effect, making you drink harder. And then drinking harder makes you do more speed. It's quite the combination. We also had sex. I guess you can say that, yes, a bit. Lovers is such an emotional word. But there was something there. We did enough drugs for there to be.
How did you two meet?
Downstairs, at the bar. He was on some sort of assignment, a military man, as you probably know. Had a cool, scary scar.
She appears aloof, but that scar part, the scary, is stressed and drawn out. What's that about? Apprehension? With longing, she misses him.
When was this?
A month ago? Something like that. Oh yes. I've had a great view. From the roof, out of the bathroom window, in my dreams.
A bitter cringe. It hurts. You look to the lieutenant. He takes a small step closer.
You called us, the RCM.
Yes. I made it. And I would appreciate it if you didn't tell everyone. In Martinez, they call it snitching.
Reporting crimes is confidential in Ravachol, miss.
Because I couldn't handle it anymore. None of these people called. He just kept hanging there. Then they started stripping him. I didn't exactly disguise it. I just muffled the mic and nicked the landline a little. With nail clippers. And I diverted some radio fuzz into it. Into the cold wire.
So, she's God's mystery foam cutter.
Did I? Fuck. I didn't mean to. I had no idea what I was doing.
Still, that's pretty clever tampering.
Thanks. I don't know, sir. It was stupid. I was drunk, too. I was probably afraid the Union was listening in. Locals say they have ears in the wires.
Thank you for making the call, miss. It was the right thing to do.
I didn't want to, sir. But if I hadn't, you'd still be hanging there. I'm sorry, I can't do it. Not right now. Later, maybe. I keep seeing him. Like he is now. I can't talk about his... I don't know. Hair.
I know it's difficult, miss. We can return to it later.
She meant she sees him in her dreams.
You have? Not like I do, I imagine.
She fishes a cigarette out of her pack and lights it, then looks at you with her lungs full of smoke.
I can see the similarity, yes.
Funny.
Funny how?
Nothing. I also saw him. We had a long inspection and that sort of thing sticks with you. Let's move on.
In my dream, he thinks, he said I failed his children. You glance at the lieutenant, then back to her.
He had something to do with the strike. One has been roiling since I got here. Rotten timing. But you probably know all about it.
And his role in this strike was...
I think he was in a security detail. He was ex-military, worked for Wild Pines, and against the Union. We didn't discuss work much, if you know what I mean. But I understood it was dangerous.
And they lynched him for it?
She nods.
Bullet? They shot him too? They stripped his clothes and they shot him?
You mean after they hanged him?
I'm confused, sorry.
So am I. Were you aware that he had also been shot, miss?
Things are starting to go a little over my head here. I thought he was hanged. I was not present when they did it. I don't know what happened. I just know what they told me. And Sylvie, the bartender.
It's hard to know what to think about that answer. She's just tired. Don't push her too much.
They're frequent guests. Downstairs, they have a booth for union members. They're probably down there now. Over drinks. It's been a long, boring winter. A little, yeah.
Like you partied with the deceased?
No, not as hard.
I'm sorry to have to ask this, but have you had a physical relationship with any of the Hardy Boys?
I have. Which ones, sir? I don't remember precisely. Titus, obviously. But as I said, it's been a long winter.
Could that have been part of the reason they hanged him?
I hope not. Actually, I know that's not the reason. I'm careful about that kind of thing. Not crossing the wires, you know? But that's probably where they got the rape idea. Men like that? I don't know. It's the way their imaginations work. I suspect it's what they'd like to do to me.
She breathes a silvery sigh of relief and weariness. The air on the roof feels humid.
Should we head by downstairs, officer? We may have things to discuss there.
As he says so, you feel the young woman looking at you and get a feeling you can't quite put your finger on. A suspicion? Wait a moment. She nods. Silvery cigarette fumes disappear into her mouth.
Clasier Amondu. Vredefort, Republic of Oranje.
Wasn't the tattoo on the hanged man an Oranese map of the waterways? The thought begins to form in your head, then dissipates. Something for later.
A bad memory, officer. Of lilacs and lightning. Parks, glass, duraluminium. Vredefort is a conference city. It's always autumn there. And night. At least it was for me.
What's so bad about that?
Nothing, if you're no longer there. I'm 28. Something stupid.
Wanna hear what's stupid? Somewhere in a one-room apartment on Boogie Street, a young man shows Patrol Officer Tilbrook his genital warts, asking if they're cancer. His partner, Emil Mullins, can't be there. He's in another apartment with another man who's showing him a dead dog under the radiator. It's dead, Mullins says. No, the man replies. I touched him. He's warm. He's warm, Mullins replies, because he's under the radiator.
No, no. More stupid. Oranese lit. Oranese literature. It's what I studied at the university. Fear of failure, fear of death, how it sucks to be Oranese. All national literatures are. Only the name of the nation changes.
If that's true, then Revacholian lit would fit you like a glove.
Nothing. I do nothing with it. Cool. I've made more money by just being than I have with Oranese lit. Many things. A roller skating instructor, a secretary, Miss Oranje 37.
It's the world's most tired smile.
I'm afraid you can't, officer.
Why is that?
Because it's buried in a sealed plastic bag at an undisclosed location on the coast, along with cash and airline tickets.
Thank you for your candor. Why?
They say so in your tourist brochure. Keep travel documents away from your person when west of the river. If I were to lie to you, I would come up with a more mainstream name than Clausia Mondu. It's a weird name. Okie dokie.
If any of this made her nervous, it certainly doesn't show in her expression or her movements.
The record. So official. Yeah? Alright. Not my favorite topic. How about we, change the subject to something?
She looks at the dried petals in your palm, then lightly touches one with her fingernail. Chipped white polish covers the nail. It's long and sharp, like a mini dagger. The petal crumbles on contact.
Pretty. Looks like a dried maybell. Is that the one you caught? Sambo style? A martial art, sir. Is that it?
Samurai boxing, or sambo, graceful martial arts stuff. Sambo style implies stealth and cool.
Why was there a flower on the roof? I don't know, officer. Because of the wind?
Or an admirer?
Admires? I'm too old to be a debutante. And this place is no fashionable society. Yes, you're just one room away. Very personal.
You do not need to know that. What you need is to ask normal police questions, like,
Get a grip, he thinks. At least do your personal stuff when I'm not here. Quick, say something professional. She looks back. Time, don't worry. We will protect you from her beauty. We will consult you through the reefs and sounds of her persona. We will see through deceits. You are shielded. You are wise. Miss Oranje Disco Dancer. You want to put your hand on her back and feel it arch. Nothing, just time passing. Don't worry, you are not a fool. Anything out of the ordinary and you would be notified. Air moves in your windpipe. Your heart beats. You're a detective. Get back to detecting. She presses her elbows against her waist. and slowly turns her head. Her hair brushes her shoulders, making a small hissing sound, almost imperceptible. The strange moment ends. It was brief, no longer.
Why not? I'll be here until 11 p.m.
Looks like we have more to discuss with those so-called Hardy Boys. Half their reasoning just went out the window. Nothing will make them respect the RCM, but it will disrupt the game they prepared for us. We just stripped off one layer of whatever it is. Her decision to not corroborate their story was definitely not part of the plan. What else could she have done? Lie? She saw there was no way to lie and get away with it. If not you, then me. It was a smart move from her. You think so? She seemed forthcoming. Unusually so. Being forthcoming about some things is a good way to obscure other things. The best liars are always forthcoming. Anyway, we should move. I suspect our investigation will bring us back here soon enough.
The same small, heavy door. No lock in sight. It's barred from the inside. You hear the bar rattle in the brackets. Sounds like it's heavy, too. Very...
I don't know, Lieutenant Yefreiter. It is not the first closed door we found in this building. There is also your mysterious blue kitchen door. I don't know. The further we get, the more this building seems to be tied to the case. The vigilantes, the cadaver, and a number of people connected to the case are in or around this building. This door is part of it. It's not unimportant.
Six crumbling petals rest on your palm. They're white, a bell-shaped crown.
This is the Insulindian lily, called Maybells or Lucille's tears during the Revolution. Girls used to pin these on soldiers before sending them off to battle. The revolutionaries saw the communards and the anarchists. White's their color, but the custom started in the suzerain's army, so it held meaning for the kingsmen too. It's about girls and boys more than sides. Girls sending off boys who are going to their deaths, then also dying themselves in the ruins from dysentery and consumption. It's a symbol of the Civil War. Yes, but not this early, not to my knowledge. It looks dried, preserved. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see.
The petals feel dry and fragile in your hand. Wait, have you noticed there's a war veteran playing a ball game on the plaza? You should ask him about the flowers. There's some tear. The trap is for poor things.
I like playing in the dark. Sharpens your nocturnal instincts. Feels like being on recon again. I prefer the old name, Insulindian Lily. Girls bought them to young cadets when they entered service. Wearing them on your cap was supposed to bring good luck. It used to be. But the communards were fond of them too. Call them revolutionary flowers. Bells of the revolution. You know what? No. They brought me misery, false hope, and disappointment. The revolutionaries sullied them.
You stirred up some bad memories there.
But it wasn't the revolutionaries that sullied the idea for you, was it? She gave them to me too, and your jealous little heart just couldn't accept it.
Enough! I can go over these matters in detail with you, Gaston. But not while we have company. So, officers.
Maybells don't blossom yet, do they?
Maybe on some remote parts of the city they do. But I think you'll have to wait for at least a month. There's nothing for you to understand here. It is not her death you are investigating. Absolutely not. She died of pneumonia in her bed at the age of 79. This is highly usual. Revival Fair 91 in the Faubourg district. A parade was held to honor Guillaume Le Lion's name day, and the Carabineers marched in the place of honor. This was the happiest day of my life. I was 22 when I returned from King Guillaume's Akira operation in the south and found my sweetheart in the arms of this wretch. I won her back, but while I was dealing with some issues.
You were like a dark cloud sucking the joy out of every living thing around you. And you hurt her.
Dark cloud. That sounds unpleasantly familiar.
Those days and memories are gone.
The old soldier says nothing, but when his glance quickly runs over Gaston's face, there's an odd look in his eyes. Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist? 57.
In the cabin, again, you find yourself looking at that big old window. Nothing, just black tangles like the hair of an old...
The clowns are still hanging around. What is it now? Fuck! I knew that fucking whore couldn't be trusted.
You've hit a nerve. Titus is furious. No, more than that. The loyal Titus feels betrayed.
For the record, Titus Hardy did not explicitly specify the victim as a whore, nor did he say anything about trusting her.
Oh, shut up and stay out of this, Liz. He raped her. He was out of his fucking mind. You have no idea.
She's just in denial, asshole. You don't understand the traumatic experience. She's shutting down, and she doesn't fucking trust you.
Yeah, she's crazy, you know. A crazy bitch. You know the type. She's fucked up.
Lawman, I'm at the end of my goddamn rope with you. I fucking told you not to push her. And you went and pushed her. I am gonna fucking...
Hit you. Duck.
Titus Hardy!
Success. Titus backs off.
Everett personally sent me to take care of this. If this goes south, we'll all be in the shit. But you, Titus Hardy, are going to be buried.
The room is so quiet you could hear a pin drop. The rest of the cafeteria has gone quiet, too. Someone has to rush in to break the tension. The second in command.
Look, Copper. We know that that fuck was a rapist and a killer. We got him confessing to it on tape. Show it to him, T. What's the har-
Here, jerkwad. Listen to this shit. And then come back and tell me the soldier of the apocalypse was an innocent man.
Another apocalyptic actor in town?
What's on it? We call it the door gun a mega mix. You'll know why. Won't you listen to it?
A door gun is a gun mounted to the door of a transport airship. They have a habit of mowing down civilians. Farmers mostly.
You think we go into this shit deaf and dumb? You RCM aren't the only ones who know how to bug people. There's no university degree for that. We have machines. We're in logistics. How do you think a harbor works? It's advanced stuff.
Understood? You've listened in on their communications. How long?
Since way before their chief started taking swing lessons.
Things got nice and quiet after that.
It's not advanced. You just hold up in a coop all day, writing down what they say. It gets hot as hell in there.
Don't put yourself down, Angus. It's important work.
Yeah, man. You're like a radio genius or something. Those notes are some in-depth stuff. Indexes and shit.
I'm sure we can find a tape player.
Where can I listen to this?
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Your room had one. Or maybe it's too broken.
Don't forget your tape, lawman. You do that. Oh, and keep it. Maybe you'll need a reminder of human ugliness someday.
The porter reel is just what you needed. The reels attach to the apparatus with a satisfying click. The tape is routed behind the magnetic reader. You push, command set, and the tape starts spinning. Violent static and machine sounds fill the air.
This isn't Revachol. This is a fucking village. I can almost see the elephants.
The harbor. That's the son of a Kvalson crane.
He's right.
When this shit is done, I'm gonna tear that place up. Soldier of the Apocalypse style. Kill shit. Dogs and chickens too. Gonna run a room, Cordy. A real nice room. I don't give a shit. I'm fucking done. I'm done mentally. I'll fucking do them all in. Rape that disco cunt on the counter. You know, the dance a whore upstairs. Do it Kohoi style. Never did get that taste out of my mouth.
The lieutenant presses the button marked Arrete on your porter reel. The tape stops spinning.
End of recording. It seemed authentic enough. Probably recorded off the shortwave, then edited to seem more incriminating. He sounded like he was on patrol around the harbor walls. Still,
there's more going on here than we know.
One of the other mercenaries, I think. The one he was talking to. A friend of his? A village on the Samaran Isola, in South Safre. Grad committed war crimes there, the kind of thing he talks about. Who knows? Maybe the tattoos would have an answer. We would need to know the story of this man's service. I think we've got a few more questions for class here, don't you? This seems to contradict her testimony, at least to some degree.
Hello again, officers. Have you come to admire my mural?
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? Not an umbrella, I hope. I don't need one myself, you see. Sadly, I need this one myself. It's hydrophobic, repels water, almost magically. The company makes them for offshore platform personnel. Very sturdy. What I can do for you is answer some questions. Nothing like... Of course, I am sorry to have been the bearer of bad news. If there is anything else...
She's not even asking you anything.
Of course, Detective. You can... More lessons in basic reality? My favorite part of the day. Glad to have been...
Give me a moment. It's about Victor, isn't it? It's always about Victor with her. You'll find the Maisons in apartment 20 upstairs. It's one of those doors on the balcony.
A weathered brown door. The number reads 20. Something smells good. Soup allongio. The lieutenant motions to you to go ahead and knock. This is the door. You already know it's the right door. This is going to be so hard.
You're right. Let's talk this through.
You hear light footsteps passing by the door and some folk music playing on the radio.
We have our first preliminary identification. In all likelihood, the deceased is the husband of Billy Maison. We need to confirm this, as well as deliver the death notification to Billy herself. Now, delivering a death notification is never an easy task. There's a reason why it's often called the most stressful part of our job. This is why it's usually done in pairs. You got this. I'll be monitoring reactions, ready to act if necessary. Dad, just don't say that you know how they feel.
Good advice. The lieutenant motions towards the door.
Hello? Who is it?
And someone turns down the radio.
The police. A moment, please give us a moment.
Tidying up, nervously. There's fear in her voice.
Come in, the door is open.
It's you from the bookstand. Did you come to bring my cockatoo back? I don't think I introduced myself properly. I'm Billy. Would you like something to drink? Tea? Lemonade? We're out of coffee.
The lieutenant has taken off his foggy glasses and is busy cleaning them in his handkerchief for now. You're on your own here. He must feel vulnerable without his glasses. Is this why he's letting you take the lead?
Is this about Victor, my husband? Is he in some kind of trouble again?
Keep it together. You don't want your body language to tell her the news.
Sorry, I'm rambling. It's just that Victor often gets into all kinds of trouble. So, how can I help you?
Definitely no small talk. This isn't the time or place. You've done this before. Just keep your focus.
What did you say? Oh. Oh. But he was just...
But he was just here. Alive.
We understand this comes as a huge shock. I want you to know that me and my partner are here for you if you have any questions. Take your time, man.
What happened to him? Was he drunk? I see. And you just found him there, lying in the cold. How long had he been there?
If you say 2 days maybe, it will be etched in her mind forever. She blinks, eyes welling up with tears, as her hand starts searching for something from the pockets of her dress.
Here.
No. I just need to tell my girls. God, should I call them? Should I tell them to come home?
No. A day.
Good. That's probably the right thing. Thank you. Just tell me, what do I need to do next? Where is he? Can I see him?
We've taken him to the city morgue. The local coroner will be contacting you shortly to arrange the funeral. Here's his number in case you want to contact him earlier. Is there anything else that the RCM could do for you?
No, I'll call you if something comes up. I'm still... Thank you. Thank you for telling me. I'll call if...
We should step outside and talk. You did well. I'll call the station tomorrow and let them know the name of the deceased. Let's go.
An intricate web of blue lines stretches across the torso of the hanged man, from the right shoulder to the solar plexus. Each time the lines intersect, a small white star is formed in their crossing. Hundreds of fading asterisks riddle his skin. Their concentration is highest around his heart. The pattern still kind of has an ethnic feel to it, but gone. For you to discover. You've gotten as far as you will without assistance. Someone close to the victim might know. The door is closed again. You hear someone inside.
Trying to sneak up on me again?
Just an ordinary wall. Nothing to see here. You stare at the now familiar black and white rainbow. The book feels heavy in your hands. The back cover is dominated by a black and white photograph of the author. She can't be much older than her mid-30s in this photograph, and yet, from this cover, the eyes of a sad old woman stare back at you. In cold, detached prose, the author describes a scene from one of the Yugoslavia riots in the 20s. Youths overturned motor carriages and set trash cans ablaze, while heavily armored guardsmen dash in and disperse them in a flurry of baton blows. As ethnic tensions run wild, a pair of young lovers meet each other on the street. Somehow, in the middle of all the chaos, they manage to lock arms and look into each other's eyes. It would physically hurt you to keep reading. Are you sure? They go through a brief and somewhat awkward love affair, and in the end, they betray each other and succumb to the absurdity of Gradian life. The man becomes a lens grinder, completely abandoning his former existence. He toils through the daily drudgery at the Lenka polyfabricate. Happiness and fulfillment have eluded him his whole life. And she spends the next several decades standing at a conveyor in a Sosnovo fish processing plant. The smell of fish guts slowly seeps into her hair and skin, as every single one of her dreams dies, one by one. The memory of their short time spent together tortures the former lovers ceaselessly until the end of their days. Years pass in solitude, their bodies growing ever more decrepit. As life leaves their remains between the soil sheets, their final thoughts are filled with regret. A colorful display of cigarettes.
Again, I'm obliged to inform you that both...
A small cabinet on the wall is filled with various medicine bottles, nasal sprays.
Okay, here. I hope Saint Baptiste makes you feel better or something. Okay, here.
The tear machine stand. Your bottles clunk.
Right to work! What's it to you? No, don't think we've met before. We're all workers, right? Workers stick together. Came from the eminent domain. Worked at Territorial. Ring a bell? Uh-huh. It was a long time ago.
Hola, Wandering Man. How can I help you?
The unpromising race pupil returns. Racists are generally not very good examples of their race.
Welcome to Revachol. You hear him yell at a redhead woman visiting the fritter nearby.
I am not like them. I am craniometric perfection. I have taken the trouble to permanently draw a phrenologic grid on my skull and features. This should dispel any doubt. Your silence betrays your inferiority. You do not have a reply. You should enter a deep race slumber. Perhaps In 4,000 years, there is need for a servile homunculus. There is nothing funky about them. There are 3 categories of race. Type A, Type B, and the vile CF race called of pederasty. Which one do you need? Types CF are a museum of failed chimeric experiments and tragic maladaptations. They are tortured creatures waiting to be put to sleep. Your morbid interest in them worries me. It would be cruel to entertain ourselves with their deformities. Those are the Simonese, the Areopagite, and the Occidentals, excluding the Maun, of course. The Maun are riddled with eczema to the point where they find a receding genetic pool has led the Maun unreprehensible. The Vespertines and Messenians of Vesper and Messina, the other large mondial civilization, the Mesk, are too yellow and oleaginous to count as a heroic race. True, they are violent and expansionist, but they have a glandular problem. Overproduction of seed, as proven by the Areopagites, the latter.
Nature was not capable.
I cannot possibly imagine what else we have.
The woman is still...
Huh? What is it? Diamonds? Of course not. Whatever stupid things they... Is that all you wanted to know, Lowman?
It is such a pleasure to see you again, officer. How may I head the citizens' militia on this fine day? Sweet, sweet Jenny. Of course, sure, officer. Oh, in many ways, yes. Like an honorary member. I attend meetings and parties, help with little things. Evrard, Edgar, and the older debarders all know me. Oh, yes. Not in the technical sense. I don't have a vote or a membership card, but Evrard keeps me on the payroll, just for the little things.
Of course he's not a member. He's not a member of anything. I knew that. He's a Vezavain. Turns the way the wind blows and tries to look important. I hate the socialist rabble, but even siding with them is better than living your entire life on the fence. Never committing to anything. Pick a damn side already.
Writing work mostly. Occasionally, he needs something written, and I happen to have a way with words, people say. Oh, nothing official, I assure you. Just essays for the newspapers. About Martinez and how things are and how they could be. Evrard and I had these long talks where...
Well, he tells his little penman exactly what to say. It's commie propaganda, plain and simple.
That's just the way things work around here. No reason to feel bad about it. No, thank you.
A man so principled about his sandwich calls for a principled approach. You really do. Now, unleash the fury.
What?
I am not going to listen to this comic connery.
Huh? Yes, officer. I really don't understand how my sandwich could... I would rather just have this one, officer. It's really good.
The skepticism emanating from the Merry Senior could be sensed all the way to the Seminine Isles.
I don't hate worker food. Look, officer, I like different classic food. Fine dining, not worker bags. Please, just drop it.
Gendarmerie, you found me.
It feels like a Friday. He seems to be in a good mood tonight.
Beautiful. So tell me, are you here to make things right again? Beautiful. I have some good news for you. My Sunday friend is visiting me tonight. I told him about you and he'd like to say hello. Step in. He's already waiting. Yeah, it does feel like the end of the week. Such gentle weather. Even the rain feels nice. Trust me, you do. That's nice, but I don't have anything to tell you. It's my friend you're looking for, not me.
He takes another drag of his unfiltered cigarette and looks around. It's getting dark and the neighboring windows have lit up one by one. Downstairs, a cat crosses the yard, disappearing into the bush.
Besides, I've got to run.
He's going to leave you alone again. That's sad. Something tells you you're never going to talk to an individual this cool or mysterious ever again.
Just look at it. It's a beautiful night. Who's going to stay in on a night like this?
Something flutters in the corner of the lieutenant's mouth as you're saying those words.
We'll talk. Just not tonight. Take care, all right?
Different, of course. You like talking to him. It made you feel special.
He's barely holding it together. It's all he can do to keep from bursting out in laughter.
Come on, detective, let's go. We've got a potential witness to interview.
Officers of the Revachol Citizens Militia.
You shouldn't be seeing him in an intimate setting. For some reason you feel this man is your superior. Superior, but he's not in the command chain. His hands are clean and well manicured. This is a man who knows the importance of appearances.
My name is Charles Vildrouin, and I am an official with the coalition government. I work for the Institute of Price Stabilité on assignment from Sur-la-Clé. I heard you talking to my friend outside. Very good. Super. I am here to assist you in any way possible. Ask me about the hanging.
No, First, ask an innocuous personal question to get the interview off on the right foot. Yes, make it clear you're the one setting the terms here.
Oh yes, my friend has a great eye for these things. He refuses to tell me where it came from. It's a mystery. I believe they call this type of frame industrial. It's very comfy. That's really all I can tell you about it.
That didn't work at all. The lieutenant takes out his notebook and nods to you to proceed.
The coalition is only looking out for the price stability. Inflation is a killer, like a heart disease blocking the normal circulation of the economy. It must be controlled. The economy impacts the entire international community, which is why it requires international oversight. Well, I'm renovating it. It is an interesting project. The building used to be a 12-story skyscraper before the cannons took the top 4 stories off. This, of course, happened when the coalition forces landed here. You could say I'm undoing some of the material damage the international community caused when we arrived here. Yes, as I said before, I am a commissioner from Sur-la-Clé working for the Institute of Price Stabilité. This is one of the main projects of the Moral Inter. La Communauté Internationale is what Revacholians colloquially call the coalition. In other words, the nations that stopped the disaster of the revolution. It is the most important thing. It's the central goal of any sound monetary policy. Maintaining the price stability is essential to maintaining high levels of economic activity, which is essential for maintaining high levels of employment, which is essential for maintaining the social stability.
Basically, it makes sure the price of bread doesn't change.
Précisément. Too much inflation, bread becomes too expensive. Too much deflation, it becomes too cheap for bakers to produce. That's why the Institute of Price Stabilité works to keep inflation just below 2%. But not too far below, no. Too below is also bad. Below, but close to 2%. The coalition believes in the importance of informing the public about the benefits of the price stability. Transparency is one of our principles. Would you like an informational pamphlet? A sound monetary policy is essential for addressing uncertainty. Stability is the raison d'être of the Moral Inter. It's the reason why I identify as a moralist. But oh, I don't have my leaflets on me today. That's too bad. You can always call our information line. Making information available is part of the Moral Intern's commitment to transparency. It's the International Organization for Moralists, hence Moralist International.
There are more nefarious powers to work for than the Moral Intern.
But of course. Well, do you value freedom? Do you believe in a normal, stable world governed by democratic values? Martinez? No. Martinez is something else. Rivachol is generally difficult. It's led by an interim government, which means it hasn't yet achieved full democracy. But they are working towards it. You're all doing very well here, relatively speaking. Is this option D usually the most reasonable answer? Sounds like you're a moralist indeed, my friend. Welcome. Moralism is all about compromise and achieving the achievable. It's pragmatic, realistic, and level-headed, an ideology for doers. Are you a doer, my friend? Now, enough of this delightful political interlude. Was there anything else you wanted to ask? What's there to say? Sur-la-Clé is a modern, urbanized country that measures very high on the Human Development and Freedom Index. Mostly, though, it's known as the executive heart of EPIS. Moreover, it is a great sponsor of less emerged countries. Revachol is only one of its many darlings whose progress it supports and cherishes. Because a great percentage of Revachol's culture hails from Sur-la-Clé. Its language, its people, its cuisine even, or at least in the downtown La Delta area.
Jamrock and other parts of the international zone have been mercifully spared of Sur-la-Clé's love for meatballs and mashed potatoes.
Whatever you wish, officer. I'm sorry to say I did, officer. Officer, it's very difficult to describe what I saw that night. It was so surreal to me, like in a play.
What do you mean, like in a play?
It was just so strange. I could barely comprehend what was happening. I was on the balcony when it happened, getting some fresh air. I remember that first they came in, carrying what looked like a body. And then I saw all the surrounding windows go dead, one by one. That's when I understood. I should not be seeing this.
Sounds like the victim was unconscious, or at least incapacitated.
I couldn't see their faces well, and there were quite a few of them. But they were very loud and very Martinez. Let's just say that the laboring classes can get rather expressive with their profanities. I couldn't tell you exactly. Less than 10. Maybe 8? I went back inside.
Were you able to see anything from inside?
Officer, the yard was pitch black. There was nothing to see, but I could still hear their voices. They were all men, I presume. But again, I couldn't see very clearly. Well, that's the strangest part, officer. Nothing happened. It was oddly quiet for a public lynching. Eventually, their shouts died down, and that was all. There were no gunshots, no celebratory shouts, no anything. You're right, of course. That is what one is supposed to do in such circumstances. I was simply in shock. I'm afraid I don't have anything else to add.
About what time was all this happening, approximately?
All I can say is that it was late. My watch. Yes, now I remember. It was 30 minutes past midnight, give or take. No, I didn't see the corpse until the following day. Of course, anything I can do to assist the RCM. Ah, my friend. My friend is a good young man. His family immigrated here from Kedra, and life has not been easy for him. But he understands the importance of education. He has taken his future into his own hands, and that's all that matters. Kedra is a candidate member of APIS. But, between you and me, their potential membership is a more contentious issue. That it's never going to happen. They entered negotiations in 21, and it's been pending ever since. EPIS is a very special program developed by the Moral Intern to support certain Occidental nations. It began as a unified system of weights and measures, which proved to be a wild success. Nothing but kilograms and centimeters as far as the eye can see. It was such a wild success that we expanded it into an economic union for the processing of steel. Another success. And between you and me, the Moral Intern feels emboldened by this success. Emboldened to take EPIS to the next level. A supranational political alliance, the United States of Occident. You mean Revachol? No, it's going to have transparent democracy. It's one day going to be a candidate member of EPIS, sure. No, candidate members do become members. Why do we even have the whole system in place if they don't? But we were talking about my friend here, not politics. How did any of us become friends? Bad things happening on the Insulindian Isola? Oil platforms ablaze in the night? Civil wars lasting for years? Finally, the international community is forced to step in. One of the wonders of democracy is that everyone is allowed to have his own opinion. And not just allowed, encouraged even. Have you ever tried debate?
There's a joke here, and you know what it is. Come on, it's so juvenile. Besides, there's no way this man is going to get it. That's why it's good.
Oh, how wonderful. I've heard it's oodles of fun. Not that I have time to take up new hobbies myself.
See? He didn't get it. Good job, Jokemeister. The lieutenant lets out a long, nasal sigh.
Sorry. Who? But I told you, officer. He's a bright young man here to pursue his education. Education. He's deeply enmeshed in the study of the fine arts, yes. He's a truly free spirit. He likes all the arts. Perhaps graphic design, printmaking, who knows? The world is open wide for a talented youth like him. I'm just enjoying the view. Listen.
A baby is crying in the neighboring apartment.
No, listen. The Insulindian Bay. This place used to be a luxury accommodation before the revolution. Apartments, of course, were much bigger then. A few walls have been added here and there, leaving some of the tenants without a private bathroom or a kitchen. But the million real view stays. You can't take that away. My friend comes and goes. I'm sure you'll see him around. He's a busy bee. I'm all ears, officer. A moment. Officer, do you have everything you need from me? I'm afraid we won't have the chance to speak again once you leave. It's against diplomatic best practices for an official in my position to be discussing murders with local militiamen. And I'm pressed for time. After you leave, I should be leaving as well. Sure, go ahead. It's a beautiful space. Let me know if you have any further questions.
Anti-Object Task Force. Behold, the Anti-Object Task Force has assembled. God's avenging angel, arrayed against the lower emanations of the Darkened One. Shurak.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? Of course. I'm glad you asked.
Disappeared?
Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore. Or coming to work. Ever. End of story.
This forewoman, her name?
Downright haunting, if you ask me. The Wild Pines suspected foul play, but what could they do? It was a union matter. The point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen around the Clares. Watch out when you're dealing with him.
Thank you for your concern, ma'am. We'll be just fine.
There are leaflets everywhere, and banners. What did they say again? Oh yes. Every worker, a member of the board. In its defense, another said, demand democracy. Pretty tame stuff compared to every worker, a member of the board. It's quite simple, you see. Every time the Wild Pines group makes a decision, about what? About anything really, it needs the signature of each of the 2,200 workers in its Martinez terminal. Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild Pines Group. That may well be. It's not up to me to decide who is king, but as negotiations go, it's not a swell start. I'm not sure. Naturally, I assume that was just their opening position. A hard-nosed tactic with a side of mockery. But there's been no follow-up, just the same nonsensical slogan repeated over and over again. And now, people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the whirling in rags. A disastrous situation if there ever was one.
Excuse me, from whom did you hear about this lynching?
I first heard it from the boyar at the gates. The one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was, "Call me mañana."
This checks out.
Of course.
You don't have to tell her you met Everard right away. There's time.
Oh? Oh?
The lieutenant looks at you, and you can swear his jaw muscle is trembling. He's able to contain the anger and surprise. When I said, be wacky, I didn't mean wildly, grossly irresponsible and damaging to the RCM.
Unconventional police officers sometimes lose their guns. They then go around and tell people about this, to gauge their reactions. It's all part of detecting.
Incredible. Simply incredible. And how it... Well, maybe he's not as helpful as you thought then. Of course, Detective.
Medicinal purposes of the pearl. The cover of this heavy tome fit very well. First, choose a base ingredient. Next, you'll need to combine the base ingredient with an appropriate. Lastly, you've created a delicious tincture of whiskey and ginger. According to the pharmacopoeia, it should increase your energy and focus, though in your experience, it's only done the opposite. Would you like to try again? You close the
Give me a moment. What? If it ain't my business, think we'd all be better off.
As you approach the metal grill, you can hear several voices having what appears to be an animated discussion. This must be it. Beyond this door lies the beating heart of radical communism in Martinez. Somehow, the night air softens the smell of trash and sea brine. As the breeze pulls through the canvas like a shuttle through a loom, you catch a hint of something unexpected, something earthy, warm, and burnt. The acrid smell of failure. No, that's just slightly burnt coffee. A smell you would recognize anywhere.
Just look at these pigs sniffing about after hours. Go ahead and arrest me, officer. I swear I'll go peacefully.
The metal grill is cool to the touch. You notice the lieutenant is looking uncustomarily anxious. His posture is rigid. His right hand hovers near the zipper of his jacket. He wants so badly to draw his armistice, but he also doesn't want to draw it.
Oh, I'm fine. I was practically born to infiltrate underground communist cells, which is just to say, we should be prepared for any eventuality.
You can make out at least two voices, both male, approximately early 20s.
Careful with those now. I have it. It's going to work. I can feel it.
The clang of metal reverberates all along the scaffolding. The voices coming from the other side fall silent.
Who's there? Is that you, Maurice? Come crawling back already. Get out of here, traitor.
For a moment,
What's the passphrase?
there's no response. You begin to wonder whether they've slipped out some back way. No, they're still there. You can feel them back there.
All right. The key's taped to the back of the door frame. Just make sure you put it back when you're done, or we'll all be locked out. And do watch the concrete. It just kind of falls away, in places.
Charmant. After you, detective.
Have fun at your underground meeting, Pig. Hope it's a blast.
The two young men are either oblivious to or ignoring your entrance. Their attentions are fixed on whatever it is they're stacking in the middle of the floor. Matchboxes, it appears.
I think it's holding, Alexis.
It is. It's holding.
Careful, careful. Damn, hardly any difference. You two, you are late.
They should know the meeting starts at 10 p.m. sharp.
One leader and one follower. The most ancient power dynamic. There's a great deal of tension in this young man's shoulders, more than someone his age should bear. Meanwhile, his companion inclines toward him, eager to catch every word that dribbles from his friend's mouth. Just a moment. Could this be the former owner of a certain jacket you acquired recently?
Esteban, isn't that your jacket?
It certainly looks like my jacket, Alexis. Where did you get that, gendarme? Yeah, I'm sure you did. That's real Sarah-Maritzian twill. Only old Sarah-Maritzian communists and drug smugglers wear those anymore.
He is neither of those, of course. He is simply a poor student putting on airs. Also, he doesn't have the shoulders to fill out such a jacket.
See, Uli? It's just like Mazovrot. How does it go again?
Those committed to the rights of property are those most apt to violate them.
I assumed it was Maurice who broke into my room to play a trick on me. I didn't think I'd actually been raided by the RCM.
There is surprise in his voice, naturally. But is that a note of excitement you also detect?
Absolutely not. You have to keep it. Can you imagine the look on Morris's face when he finds out the RCM has been kicking my door down?
He'll shit himself. Positively.
And now they've shown up in force to break up our meeting.
Something tells me these young men are not very experienced with law enforcement.
The RCM wants to join us?
My partner, of course, is acting in a strictly personal capacity, not as an official representative of the RCM.
Interesting. Does that mean you've done the reading?
Uh-oh. No one said anything about reading. You'll just have to wing this one.
You have? Excellent. Let's hear your critique then. They always say that when they haven't done the reading. Well, this is getting awkward. I'm not sure what you're expecting to find here then.
There's profound consternation in his voice. You suspect it's about something bigger than your not having done the reading.
Maybe they can explain themselves.
In the most generous sense, I would say we're cultivating revolutionary consciousness.
Yes, that's probably the best way to describe it.
But more specifically, we are running a reading group. The most rigorous and theoretically advanced materialist reading group in Martinaise.
Comrade Steban is a great discussion leader. One of the best at the university.
We have been known to get into some spirited debates, but it's always in service of our larger intellectual and ideological project.
Precisely. We are not interested in senseless parroting. We like to read critically.
Within the contours of Mazovian historical materialism, of course.
Huh. As though you can call that pablum teaching.
One thing you learn quickly at university is that you're not going to find a real education in any lecture hall or discussion seminar.
We are post-attendance, basically.
Exactly.
The only worthwhile part of the so-called École Normale de Revachol is the library. That's where we've made our greatest critical strides. We study all the foundational texts of Mazovian theory, of course. Just last week we finished the second volume of Puncher and Watman's Innocence of Capital.
Truly extraordinary.
And before that we spent 6 weeks on State and Plasm.
For some reason, the word plasm catches in your ear like a piece of old wax. Uh-oh. You can feel your attention span rapidly deteriorating.
We've also read Wertmüller's The Megastructure of History, and before that, Real and Reality.
Arblar's Une Paix Infernale.
The original Fisdale translation, not that watered down revisionist garbage.
Obviously.
But, of course, our special emphasis is on the theories of Ignaz Nilsson and his followers, especially the inframaterialists. You're not familiar with him? It's pretty advanced stuff. You may not be ready for it yet, gendarme. Only Krasmazov's most trusted lieutenant, the evangelist of the revolution, and the founding father of the People's Republic of Samara.
It's hard to overstate how unimpressed he is that you've never heard of this world historical individual.
He also happens to be the greatest communist theorist after Mazov himself. It was Nilsson who first postulated the existence of ideological plasm, which forms the basis of inframaterialist theory.
Those words again. You've got to find out what this inframaterialist stuff is all about. Whatever it is, one thing's perfectly clear. These young students have a much deeper understanding of communism than you do. You could learn a thing or two from them. If you can convince them you're one of them. The young man sighs. His companion looks about furtively.
What do you mean? This is the reading group. We're in something of a rebuilding phase.
Some of our former comrades didn't have the ideological fortitude our work demands.
Intellectual attrition is maybe the best way to describe it. Felix said he couldn't keep up with the reading on top of his classwork. And Susanna wanted to read text other than Mazovian theory. Like novels, if you can believe it.
See? Even a gendarme gets it.
We've tried recruiting new members, but unfortunately the current intellectual climate is pretty hostile to inframaterialist thought. These days, if you're on the left, the ascendant schools are the Godwaldians and their iconoclasts.
Don't forget about Maurice and the turnips.
Right. Then there was the whole turnip debacle. They're the most depressing school of communism. They love writing long books with a patina of Mazovian theory to cover up their cheap psychologizing.
A gang of cheap psychologists and intellectual midgets. Typical Gottwalders, in other words.
It's okay for Uli to say that, because his dad is from Gottwald. The Gottwald school believe that intellectuals as a class are incapable of sparking revolutionary change. So all they can do is critique capitalism from inside itself. That's why they spend all their time smoking cigarettes and writing long works of criticism that make you want to commit suicide. It is miserable. That's probably why they're always committing suicide. You see, the Gottwald school look like communists. They talk like communists. But scratch the patina and you'll see beneath that they're just depressed liberals who've read too many books. For starters, they love talking about beans. That's right. Iconoclasts are obsessed with beans. They love thinking about beans. They love counting beans. But most of all, they love building models to predict how many beans there'll be in the future. They're by far the most bean-centric school of communism.
Ah yes, the much maligned bean counters, ensconced in their think tanks and high-rises, believing they can save the world through a series of incremental, assiduously technocratic reforms.
Oh, please. There's nothing moderate about their love for counting beans. If I were a Gottwaldian, I would probably diagnose them with Bohnenfixierung, You see, iconoclasts claim to be communists, but in reality they're just liberals with hard-ons for spreadsheets. Of course not. The only people who actually call themselves liberals are mouth-foaming reactionaries.
Basically indistinguishable from fascists. You'd need an X-ray machine to tell the difference.
Cindy is...
something of an ideological auxiliary, perhaps.
Yes, that's exactly how I would put it. And naturally, we support her radical counter-liberal aesthetics.
But she refuses to submit an essay, so we can't call her a member of the group per se.
That doesn't stop her from using a room for studio space, of course. It's an unfortunate story. You see, our ex-comrade Maurice is something of an economist.
He's studying macro and microeconomics.
Wow, a real intellectual, it sounds like.
Right. So a few weeks ago we were discussing the extra physical capabilities of the revolutionary state. And Maurice said... What were his exact words, Ulexis?
It was unbelievable. He said, turnips don't care if they are grown by communists, moralists, or Vulcan. They grow just the same.
Basically, he was rejecting the whole foundation of infra-materialist theory. Simply that under suitably revolutionary conditions, crop yields naturally increase relative to non-revolutionary crops, which Morris somehow has the gall to deny.
Susanna said that he has been hanging out with some non-communists lately.
For us, the question boiled down to, if you don't even accept the basic ideas of Nielsen and infra-materialist theory, why are you in the reading group? Of course you do. It's pretty basic stuff. Well, it wasn't so much that he was
He just quit coming. We haven't seen him around for weeks.
Go ahead. Clinching? No. We're not an operational cell.
We think of ourselves as more of an intellectual vanguard.
No, unfortunately, the communards were hunted down and killed nearly to a man. All that's left of them are bones and old rifles.
His companion's eyes widen as you hold up the ancient weapon. He's practically itching to stick that thing in someone's face and pull the trigger.
Yes, like that one. I wonder how many of these are still lying around in cellars or sealed up behind the masonry. Can I hold it? It's heavier than I was expecting.
Though what, exactly, you can't say. He turns the rifle over again, admiring the glint of light off the oily barrel. When he's finished, he returns the rifle to you with a nod of appreciation. The young man frowns at the little pile of boxes on the floor.
Nothing, just messing around until the meeting started.
They're watching those matchboxes awfully intently for two guys who are just messing around. It's almost as though they were trying to create the most unstable structure they could.
We typically only accept new members once per semester. There's this whole process with essays and presentations on assigned topics. But given that we have some extra seating at the moment, I guess we could be convinced to expedite an application or two.
Steban, you can't be serious. For these gendarmes?
I am serious. As materialists, we've got to adapt to conditions as they are. Besides, he'll still need to pass the interview portion of the entrance process. Assuming he's even still interested, that is.
What's there to be scared of? You've really been cracking the books these last few days. You can go toe-to-intellectual toe with any reading group in Martinez. Now, chin up. You've got this.
Oh, you want to start now? Sure, we can manage that.
You've caught him off balance. The momentum is already in your favor.
Go ahead and take a seat. Since we haven't had time to prepare an exhaustive questionnaire, I think we can keep this interview more freeform. Why don't you tell us a bit about the books you're interested in, and we'll just see where the conversation goes. Absolutely. It's the only proper foundation to develop a real understanding of events. Don't think I'm familiar with it. Give us a quick summary, if you don't mind.
This is a good start. They're starting to loosen up. You feel relaxed and in control. You quickly gloss Lopez de Fuego's essential argument, peppering it with your own commentary and asides. Like a river emptying into the sea, the discussion winds its way toward the character of the Innocence herself.
But then, any critical account of Dolores Day's reign has to seriously reckon with her atrocities in Margretania and La Vuelta during the Mesque secession, don't you think? Total nonsense. The greatest thing Dolores Day ever did was get blasted by her own Terrier.
If he wants a real critical history, he's got to read on the material conditions of the Mirovan Boilermakers.
He's so good. Brutally revelatory.
These kids are eating out of your hand, practically. Another quarter of an hour disappears. The questions come rapid fire, but you have an answer for every one. Now you can sense things starting to slow down. The interview must be reaching an inflection point.
But to Comrade Ulix's point, isn't there value in reading really difficult books, just for the sheer challenge of it? Oh, right. 16 days of coldest, whatever. What was your take on it?
Now's your chance to end this interview on a high note. You ably summarize the novel's characters and themes.
It's no wonder you couldn't finish it. Sounds like turgid bourgeois social realism. And Gradian realism is the worst realism. It's nearly as bad as Gottwaldian critical theory.
Makes you want to gouge your eyes out. Or better, gouge the author's eyes out.
In any case, I think we've heard enough. We could use someone with your perspective in the group. With just a bit more theoretical foundation, I think you'll be making real contributions.
Yes, I would say he's got serious potential at least.
And with that, welcome to the most ideologically advanced materialist reading group in Martinez. Here's your first assignment. It's an overview of inframaterialist theory. A little basic, as you'll see, but one has to start somewhere. You're going to fit right in, I think. Come back when you're done. We'll be here pretty much every night after 10 p.m. Do be sure to take your time with the reading. We'll be eager to hear your thoughts.